Hey and welcome. We are live. Welcome to Afterburn Soccer Show. I'm your host Nathan Hill. You can follow me at Nathan J Hill on Twitter, on X, and with me, my good buddy Jose Carmona. You can follow him at El Chico Carmona.
Hello, everybody.
And I wish we could be coming to you in happier times when the bright spirits of the FC Dallas fan base are soaring and our hopes and dreams are full of promise. I don't know. I'm being so poetic tonight, but like partly because it's just a miserable time for FC Dallas fans as we come to you. Whether you're listening to us live and you can send in your comments, your questions, or if you're joining us via the podcast on your favorite podcasting platform, it's not a good time to be an FC Dallas fan. We've had these slow starts. Other teams are having a slow start to this 2024 Major League Soccer season, but with some hype built up, with a record striker signing, this has just been miserable. And part of it is not the team being unlucky. The team is bad. They're just not playing well. They're making a lot of mistakes, especially defensively, which is a recipe for staying at the bottom of the standings in this league. So we're going to start talking as FC Dallas traveled down to Austin, lost 2-1. Did go up, and that goal you saw in our opening credits, Eugene Ansah with his first goal of the year. Credit to him. Credit to Musa for making a decent play there, taking that chance. And a team that was lacking confidence for me, that's the moment where they sort of go, hey, we got a lead. At the very least, we should come out of here with a point. Let's lock things down. Let's concentrate. Let's pull together. Let's make life miserable for Austin. And then Austin goes right down and scores an equalizer and then finds the go-ahead goal later on with just some bad defensive play from FC Dallas. So a lot of reasons to be disappointing. Fourth straight loss now for FC Dallas. Jose, what were your thoughts from this match?
My thoughts were awfully depressing thoughts. Let's face it. Went down to Austin, one of the worst teams in the league, and you were outplayed by them. And it wasn't even close. I mean, yes, we Ansa got the goal, gave us that false hope, and then the team just unraveled against a team that was there to at least, like you said, walk out of there with at least a point. And it's just it's just a kick to the privates to all FCD fans who were hoping that this would be a match to turn it around. But it was more of a confirmation that hey, you guys really are bad. It's not just bad luck. I mean, there is some bad luck involved there, sure, but it's just you can tell this team needs a lot of work, and it has too many weaknesses for teams to focus on at the moment, and we're not certain if they can compensate for some of those weaknesses. I mean, we're hoping that over time they'll play better uh, instead of the disjointed mess that we're seeing. But they got outplayed, you know, post to post and against a bad team, which means you're worse than they are, and that's just unacceptable at the moment.
Steve Davis made the point on his Texas 11 Substack. I highly recommend you follow that. He put together a little article today and highlighted some of the defensive miscues. It, and he noted in it, which is a surprising narrative, that this team misses Jose Martinez, which seems a bit wild, but Jose couldn't stay healthy. He wasn't ever present on the field. And yet, some of these mistakes, in the particular way they're happening, did not happen when Jose Martinez was out there. Certainly, there were other mistakes that did happen from time to time when Jose was out there because he just didn't have the speed to defend in space. But boy, the defense has really regressed. And
I want to. I'm not disagreeing with him. He's correct when it comes to when the game balls in play, in fluid motion and attack. That's where Martinez is being missed. But right now, the set piece defending on this team is an Achilles heel that every team has picked up on, and Martinez is not going to fix that. This team this year, even with the injuries, is a much bigger team than last year. They've added a lot of size. They've made sure that they're not FC short, but on set piece defending, they just look disjointed, and people are missing assignments left and right. Not one player. We're talking multiple players. And honestly, anytime if the opponent can simply drop the ball into a spot and let it hit the ground, that team's got a good shot at scoring. Right now, I'm fairly. I mean, I haven't gone back and looked, but it to me, I believe they've allowed a set piece go in every one of the matches that they've lost. And let's face it, that's basically what won the game for these guys is they had a set piece goal because I'm sure they practiced for this. Said, hey, just keep it close, and play for the set pieces. FC Dallas will gives us they're horrible at marking to give us too much space. Drop it in there, it'll happen. And I mean that just gives not just Austin but any future opponents the confidence that hey, keep it close. FC Dallas's set piece defending is horrible. They may be able to play a more defensive minded game and keep us from scoring from open play, but get the set piece. We have a shot, and right now Dallas doesn't have an answer to that. I'm not sure people getting healthy is a fix for that particular weakness. This is something that the team is gonna have to figure out, and they need to figure it out fast.
4-4-2 lineup in this one, a tweak to the tactics, and didn't really bear a lot of fruit. It should be a fairly familiar tactic. 4-4-2 is pretty standard stuff in soccer. A way to line up that you can be pretty organized and support each other, but just there's a lot of disconnects. I mean, just watching the first half, one thing that FC Dallas took as a silver lining was they didn't give up the first goal. They didn't give up a first half goal. Okay, well that's a small improvement. I mean,
Something
it's
to build on. Something to
something
build on,
to
especially on the
point
road.
at. A coach has got to find something, but there's a lot of disconnect between the midfield, the ability to even get the ball out. It's almost like this team just can't really build out of pressure the way that Nico wants them to. Some of that I'm sure is confidence, but some of it is probably personnel and maybe tactics, maybe instructions. But I think too it's a weakness this team is showing that right now they just are um, they're easy pickings for pressure. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to turn the ball over, and even some guys like Jesus Ferreira having a turnover that leads to a goal. Some of your clutch guys are making tough mental mistakes. And here's my fear of all of this is that it becomes like this avalanche. Like it starts out with just a few mistakes, some bad luck, bad bounces, but then it just grows. And now Nico's trying different formations, so the guys are confused. They're not in any rhythm, and it just gets worse from there. So I don't know what the solution is at this point, other than grinding and figuring out a way for the guys to come together as a team and figure out how they want to move forward, uh, and 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 put their better foot forward out there on the field in this next match. And even if they lose, maybe if it's a stronger performance, they can build off of that and start to turn the page. But gosh,
I mean,
this
honestly, because the defense is struggling so much, and because of the injuries, let's face it, there's injuries that's gonna prevent this team from playing their optimal formations, not formation. We're talking the 3-4-3, the 4-3-3, even the 4-4-2. The injuries that they have prevent them from putting the best lineup out there. So honestly, with this defense struggling, why not go to a 4-2-3-1? Put Frazier and Delgado in front of the defenders. And then you're gonna have to have Leggett or somebody as the attacking midfielder up top. But let's face it, you should play a defensive minded formation because you have to stop the bleeding. Right? I would have taken a 0-0 draw at Austin, and I would have been happy with that. I would have said, "Hey, yes, we played terrible, but at least we got a point on the road. We didn't like we you could build on that." And honestly, that's the answer: is get defensive until you get healthy and until you get Ilara back and Jesus back and, and um, Farfan back. Tomasi is still not 100%. He still looks he's not playing with confidence out there. Sure, he's back, but he's not playing with any confidence out there. You see it on the attack. He just looks like he can't believe he got that far forward, and he stops and turns around and passes the ball back like oh my god, I overran my defensive positioning, and that's just it means he's not 100%. That's going to happen, and frankly, just play the good old fashioned 4-2-3-1. The Oscar Pereira special, uh, and keep it simple. You're gonna have to keep it simple because right now you need to stop the bleeding. We need to stop this tailspin that this team is going into.
Yeah, if it gets worse, which we'll get to in a minute, that'll be our next
Oh,
question. But
he's not wrong. He's not wrong. We weren't doing anything
yeah,
right.
it was terrible soccer. It was passing the
It was terrible.
ball and like where do we want it to go? We have no
Well,
ideas and I I
you got out possessed. What, like 69 to 31? It was higher than that, except um, at the end there they go down a guy, I believe. Am I wrong on that? Something happened that basically I couldn't believe that they
well it. I'm not in Nico's shoes, so I don't know. There's so many questions about this team, but you do have some young players who would seem to be open to causing chaos in the final third. We've seen Bernie do that before. We know Dante Sealy can have some success there. So it does seem to figure out a formation where you can let those guys run. Yes, they're going to be offside some. Yes, it's not going to always be pretty, but make life difficult for your opponents and try to create something. So almost like using Musa as a target player and letting these young guys play off of him. Maybe Paul Areola underneath. I mean, just but we started with such confidence and excitement in Dante Seeley's opening match performance, and boy, it's not been pretty since then. It's not. We're not
no,
sure.
it's not. And I'm gonna tell you something else that's frustrating me is you're starting to see Musa do some of the things that Jesus was doing, which is he get frustrated coming back for the ball, and then you're seeing, hey, why is he passing to for somebody else to score? Because he's trying to make things happen. He's getting the ball. He's he's he, he's doing some of the same stuff, not as deep as Jesus, but you're seeing that same level of frustration from Musa that Jesus had. That, hey, nobody's getting the ball, so I need to go get it, and then I need to make something happen. And he's doing that. I mean, he's doing it better than Jesus did, in that he can lead a breakaway and whatnot. But now then it forces him to count on somebody else to score, and that's an issue. That's where you miss Ilara and Jesus. When Musa, so you say, "Hey, I'm getting zero service," and all of a sudden he starts making his Jesus imitation. It tells you that it's a big problem.
Yeah, yeah. Our buddy Hutch there is just laying it down. It's just not good. It's not good at all right now. His team looks bereft of confidence and of joy right now. Credit to Eugene Ansah for a goal, something that he can at least build upon. Getting a rare start for him. I really don't have any credit to him. I mean, start him again. Why
I
not? I mean,
I want to say that I've honestly thought that Ans has been played in the wrong position for most of his time here. I mean, the guy was brought in to be a striker, not a winger, and he frankly hasn't looked good playing winger. And here he plays, as one of the two players behind Musa, and not surprisingly, he had, probably his best game he's ever had in a FCD jersey. Like you said, something to build on. But I think we're all pretty sure that he's no more than a super sub right now at best.
Hmm.
But getting him to play a position where he can have success, that's something to build on. That's something good for him and the team for Nico to realize that, hey, I need to have this guy up high in an attacking position so we can take advantage of whatever skill set he does have, as opposed to playing him out on the wing and having him basically be useless out there.
Well, the big question that we're starting to ask, and it started with a little crackle of flame the past couple of weeks, but it's now starting to look like a little warm fire to sit by, is how much leash Nico has over this next month. Of course, it could be that Hunt and company are going to give Nico as long as he needs to turn things around. They're going to understand, sure, there are injuries that have set this team back. We haven't seen the best 11 out there. True, we can give that credit. And Nico was trying something different. And he was switching to a new formation over preseason. We knew there was going to be some growing pains in that. That's normal for every team. It's going to take a little bit to kick in. So you have both those caveats there. You go, okay, fine. But still, it's been really bad. It's been really tough to watch. And so the question is, if this form keeps up, does Nico have 2 more weeks? Does he have till the end of the month? Is a stinker even this next weekend? Does it turn into a roaring inferno? I just don't know. Has he
I,
lost the locker room? And is some of the confidence and things, is that a sign of that? I don't. I wish I could say that. I think if the players are coming out and apologizing for the bad play, they're owning some of this, so it can't all be on Nico. But on the other hand, it just hasn't looked good. So, Jose, what is your gut at this point?
well, I think he's got to get out of jail free card until Ilara and Jesus get healthy. And once they do, because right now he can point at the roster and go, look, I'm missing three starters right now, not including Alan and Giovanni Jesus, who we already knew were out for extended periods. I'm talking about Farfan, Ilara, and Jesus. And he can say, hey, those are three starters that I was counting on. I'm already missing two other would be starters. And so he's got to get out of jail free card until those guys come back. But once those guys come back, once Ilara and Jesus are on the field, if this team continues to lose, then we can start talking about, okay, 2 or 3 matches, because now you're out of excuses. Your excuse is my team's banged up, I'm missing key players, and we don't have the kind of depth. We already knew that from last year, that we don't have the kind of depth where we can afford to miss 2 or 3 key players. And that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a team missing two, frankly, 5 key players, but two, like I said, two of those we were already expected to be out with.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it looks like a team that only has 6 starters on the field. It looks really bad. And the frustration is that we've all were worried that this would happen at some point in the season, based on them not bringing in a big international center back and other moves that we were hoping that would make, and seeing the lack of depth, and then to have it just smack us right at the beginning of the season, that just makes it even worse.
Hmm. It's a tough scenario all around, and I don't know
It
what
is.
Dan Hunt and company are thinking. I do know, I do imagine that if we get some really bad results these next 2 weeks, that they'll have to think hard about doing something to
Well,
send a
I
message.
also want to add the other big frustration is you had the bye week, you had the extra week to prepare for this match, and you come out there and you played like you didn't have an extra week to prepare for these guys. It's hard. It's hard. I'm a very positive person, and I'm positive that they'll turn around eventually. But it's still tough to see it and admit that, hey, until this team gets healthy, there may not be much that Nico can do.
I saw something in the Twitter chat and with uh, from Third Degree that there's hints that Jesus and Ilarmendi won't be ready this weekend either.
Yes, that's one thing that they're talking about. I mean, Bus pretty much came out and said that they wouldn't be available.
Um,
He didn't hint at it. He said
yeah.
they're not playing, and I mean that that's nothing new. I mean, I think the concern Ilara, he's an older player, so I don't think we're surprised that he's going to miss games. But Jesus has that injury that we're all starting to wonder why didn't they just have do surgery on it? Because if it's wait a game day decision type, if it's going to be that way every week, we're in for a massively long season.
Mhm. Yeah, and I'm not so sure. Well, I think Paul and Sebastian can be a part of the solution here. I think they're being asked to do a whole lot of things that they just can't do. But um, it's
Good call there. I didn't even mention Paxton. I mean, we're actually missing four players that we expected to
yeah,
be starting.
Paxton going to miss this year, or we don't know what the future is for him. I haven't even written about it just because I've been so sad about it. But it's this happens in every professional sport. You have incredible, talented guys who just have
Paxton
setbacks.
is
You
the
know.
ultimate team player, taking one for the team to free up his salary so the team can go out and get a center back. That's
Yeah.
not to make fun of it, but that's basically this team may actually get an international center back because of Paxton's injury. That's just sad.
Yeah, well, I don't think Paul and Sebastian are going to be their elite selves, but they could still be really useful on this team, and this is the kind of moment where they should step up. But we'll see. We'll see how kind of this.
That's, I mean, yeah, it's those are two guys that should be doing a little leadership, and I don't expect them to come back to being guys that are gonna be competing for team of the week or anything like that. But I do expect them to be two of the more solid starters on this team, and we haven't seen that. We haven't seen that return to that level. I'm not asking them for them to be all stars or DPs. Just be solid rocks. Be anchors for this team. And hopeful that they'll get there. I mean, Legends has been showing signs of improvement, and Ariola is staying healthy, and that's the key. If they can both stay healthy, I think they can regain that form where they can at least be rocks for the team. But they're not there yet. There's a lot of players on this team you can say that about.
Well, it just probably makes sense for Nico with Ilara Mendy and Jesus missing because the next match is in St. Louis. It's not going to be a fun one. It's going to be a tough place to play it. But one of those games where I think last year they had a decent game or a bit unlucky not to come away with a point. So it's a kind of game where they can go and be a bit more defensive, sort of give those guys an extra week to rest and then come back for that home match and really sort of, hey, let's reset, let's start over, let's start building something.
St. Louis is a very simple team. They're going to play that old school, route one style play, and so they're not going to throw any wrinkles at FC Dallas. But at the same time, it's a road game, and it's that set pieces. If I'm St. Louis right now, I'm working extra hard on my set pieces because they're like, hey, FC
Yeah.
Dallas is vulnerable to them, so why not just play for set pieces all game long until they get figure it out.
Well, if there is any silver lining to this season so far, and there is no silver lining, I'm going to be clear about that. But if there is a small modicum of, and I'm on it's a sports show, and I'm using words like modicum and stuff. Anyway, if if there's any little bit gives us a bit of confidence, right? Is that and a little fragment of hope is that we're not alone in starting terribly. Austin's not exactly. They're at the bottom. They have more points, sure. Seattle has started really slowly. Um, New England is probably even worse than where FC Dallas is, and they have a new head coach, and it's ugly there. So there are other teams that are struggling as well, and we've seen even squads like Sporting Kansas City last season who started off really poorly but got healthy and went on a run and climbed their way into sort of a postseason kind of picture
The
or
only
just
ray,
close to there.
the ray of hope that this team has is that we have yet to see them field their best 11. You know, and and you can say that for every match. And I would dare say that they haven't even been close to fielding their best 11. They've been at least two players short of that every match that they've played. So there's hope for that. That once Ilara and Jesus get healthy, will this team will look like a completely different team, because let's face it, those are two players that just missing one on from the starting 11 is a huge hole to fill, but you're missing two, so you got two massive gaps there already.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, time will heal all wounds, they say, but we'll see if that
Hopefully, hopefully.
hopefully. I mean, look, hey, ray of hope. Let's say this week they have that come to Jesus talk in the locker room, and they go like, "We're gonna go in St. Louis, and we're gonna foul, we're gonna fight, we're gonna try to grab a goal, but if not, we're gonna keep it 0-0." They come away with a point. They sort of stop the bleeding, and then you come back, you get Ilara Mendy back, you get Jesus back at home against Seattle, who've not started well. Maybe you pick up a huge 3 points, even if it still looks kind of ugly. All of a sudden, hey, you kind of turn that corner a little bit. You've gotten some things going. Of course, if they come out with 0 points for these next 2 weeks, it's going to get harder to talk about FC Dallas.
I'm telling you right now, I want FC Dallas to go to St. Louis and go play just sit back, play defense, try to counter, and if we can walk out of there with a 0-0 on the road, I'd be like, hey, something to build on. Stop the bleeding, stop the team from spinning out of control. They gotta gain confidence somehow, and almost winning, almost drawing is not good enough. They have to figure out a way to come out of St. Louis with at least a point, and say, okay, here we go. This is something we can now build on for the next week, because this is a very tough month ahead for the team, and frankly, it, it could be a lot more days like this in the near future before things get turned around. And like you said, at some point we'll probably start hearing grumblings if it doesn't get turned around soon about Nico and his job.
Yeah, yeah. Well, meanwhile, North Texas are looking ahead. They had a weekend off, I believe, and so 2 draws. Although they won the penalty kick shootout at their last game against St.
Uh,
Louis.
yeah, so they got 3 points, right?
They have 3 points so far in the season. They'll play again this weekend, and another home match against Town FC. So their season is underway, and they're kind of fun to watch because you are already seeing some young guys come together. A new coach really put his imprint on the team, and I said to the coach after asked him just about it, like North Texas has just struggled with penalty kick shootouts after those next pro matches going into last season, going back that far. So for them just to turn one around and get a really big clutch, and it went pretty deep into PKs. So good stuff for them. Good to see for something for them to build their confidence from. And know some first team players are getting minutes there, and they might be a solution to get some confidence going in these upcoming matches for FC Dallas. All right.
Yeah. What's kind of gone on not discussed is that this year, Next Pro did away with their conferences. Remember, we had the the Frontier Conference and the Western, and they got away from that, and it's just now East and West, just like MLS. Uh, they'll be playing uh, San Jose, I believe, and San Jose changed their name. They took their it's I forgot what it was, but it's the new thing that some of the next pro teams are doing where they're aligning with like a academy and then just taking that team's name. So it's technically it's San Jose Earthquakes U23,
But it's Town
but
FC now. Is that what it's called?
yeah, Town FC. So they're playing Town FC. Yes,
Very
or the
cool.
Towns or something like that.
Yeah.
There's two teams that have done that so far. I forgot who the other team was, but San Jose is one of them. And North Texas, I'm kind of excited for them this year. I don't think they're going to be a title contenders, but I think they're a team that can improve as the season goes on, and I think they'll be a solid playoff team pushing for the playoffs this year, mainly because of some rule changes with MLS Next Pro that prohibits the number of senior team players that you can send down to play uh, in the reserve team, which some teams were heavily abusing that last year. Uh, Looking at you, Columbus Crew. Uh, but they weren't the only ones. You know, St. Louis used that to great effect in their first year, and other teams. You know, they're basically their reserves is or truly senior team players playing in the reserves, and nothing wrong with that. But apparently, the powers that be said, no, 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 no. This is a development league, not a league for you to send your guys that are sitting the bench and not getting enough playing time. If you want to send them there, then send them there for the season. Don't be sending them weekly. So they did some rule changes. I'm not sure quite what it was, but it does limit the amount of players you can send down on a weekly basis, and that's going to help a team with a strong academy like North Texas.
Well, it's good. I'm not sure when does FC Dallas enter into the Open Cup? Will it be the round of 32 or round of 16? So we're still a few weeks.
I thought it was round of 16. I thought they made it so that the few MLS teams that actually play come in late into the game, and that's why a lot of people were upset that hey, you're basically taking all the assuring yourself to be in a couple of matches away from the semis.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
I think that's right. I think that's right. So yeah, hopefully that will be a opportunity for a win there. Well, I think we're going to need to leave it there. Please stay tuned to the site. I should have some video from Nico's media availability up tomorrow, as he. Yeah, okay. Ed, hey Edwin.
all right,
Round of
Pinto, there you go, round 32. Good call. And I want to say, with the way this team has started, I hope that they take the U.S. Open Cup seriously this year, which it's all been lip service the past couple of years. They keep saying how important it is, and then they field teams that are a joke. I don't want to see that this year. With the way this team's struggling, building some kind of momentum elsewhere would be really good right now for the fan base to give us a little hope.
yeah. All right, well, let's leave it there. Thanks everybody for watching, for your comments and
Thank you for
questions.
tuning in.
Yeah, we'll of course be posting the audio tomorrow, so you can like and subscribe and follow wherever you follow podcasts. Until then, I know it's been a tough one.
Yes, it
Dallas
is.
till I
It is.
die inside. Well, I know. I'm hoping that this will just be
Same
that
here.
bump that we go, man, that was that rough point in the season that we'll look back on and forget about. But hey,
Certainly the most brutal start that I can recall.
yeah. Well, good night, everybody.
All right, good night, guys.